Hello, welcome back to a small turbo YouTube channel. So this is part 2 of our discussion in sexual and asexual reproduction. So we have tubers. So again, tubers are enlarged and thickened underground stem. Potato is an example of tuber. If pieces of potato with buds or eyes are cut out and planted in soil, new potato plants can form. So examples of stem tubers here are potatoes and yams. So yams are locally known as obe. Then we have corms. Corms is an enlarged, short underground stem that stores food. Corms resembles bud but do not have thick, fleshy leaves. New corms develop from the stem of an old corm to produce new plants. So example of plants that use corm is taro or gabi here. Taro plant. So another example is this gladiolus. Then next method of asexual reproduction is plantlets. So here in plantlets, the miniature structures that arise from meristem in leaf margins referred to as plantlets. So they eventually develop roots and drop from the mother leaf or the leaves they grow on. So example here, we call this the mother of thousands. So these plant leaf develop. Another example is Katakataka plant. So only the plantlet is used to propagate. Then we have, let's proceed to sexual reproduction in animals. So when you say sexual reproduction, it requires two parents. So it occurs when a new individual is formed by the union of two sex cells. So when you see sex cells, it is a term that includes sperm and eggs. So the sperm and eggs, or the sperm and egg cells, produces a fertilized egg we call zygote. Again, the fertilized cell is called a zygote. So this is the process. So this is the sexual reproduction in humans. So the egg from the female unite with the sperm from the male. So fertilization occurs when they unite. So we have the fertilized egg or the fertilized cell, the zygote after fertilization. Again, we have the zygote. Then we have the embryo, which takes some time to develop and mature. Then we have the sexual reproduction in flowering plants. So the flower is the reproductive organ in flowering plants. So flowers have structures that produce the gametes necessary for reproduction. So once pollen gets transferred to the stigma, the male gametes from the pollen grains releases and fuses with egg and the ovule to form a zygote. So this process of fusion of gametes is called fertilization, just like the one we call it in the sexual reproduction in different organisms. So the zygote thus forms, divides, and develops into an embryo, and later on into a seed. Then the ovary develops into a fruit. So we have the so-called complete flower, which is it contains both stamens and pistil. And imperfect flower, it contains only the pistil or only the stamen. So we have here the structure of the flower. So in here, the male, or in the flower, the male reproductive part is called the stamen. Where is it? The male reproductive part is the stamen. Here. Here is the stamen. Then we have the anther, which is the female reproductive part. The anther. Then we have in the anther, it contains the pollen grains, which produce male gametes. In the pistil, it contains the stigma, style, and ovary. Okay, in the pistil, it contains the stigma, the style, and the ovary. It comprises the pistil, the stigma, the style, and the ovary. Then, let's proceed to the comparison between asexual and sexual reproduction. So again, in asexual, let's start with the number of parents. In asexual reproduction, there is only one parent involved. For sexual reproduction, we have two, the male and the female parents. When it comes to the type, so we have, for asexual reproduction, we have the fission, budding, spore formation, fragmentation, vegetative propagation, okay, regeneration, and so on. For the sexual reproduction, the type is internal and external fertilization. So internal, that occurs to humans. For external fertilization, that occurs, example, to fishes or to the fish. Then when it comes to involvement of gametes or sex cells, so for asexual reproduction, there is no fusion of sex cells. For sexual reproduction, there should be the fusion of sex cells, and that fertilization should occur. For asexual reproduction, this occurs in unisexual plants. For sexual reproduction, occurs in bisexual plants. Then, for asexual reproduction, occurs in lower plants, and sexual reproduction occurs in higher plants. In asexual reproduction, reproductive organs are not present. For sexual reproduction, fully developed reproductive parts are present. For asexual reproduction, characteristics of only one parent are inherited. For sexual reproduction, characteristics of both parents are inherited. So, yan dito masasabi natin, ang baby nila may parang medyo the same ang face sa kanyang husband, same din sa kanyang wife. May characteristics, kumbaga. Alright, so another is time period. For asexual reproduction, of course, less lang yung time na kinakailangan kasi nga hindi na sila kailangan maghanap pa ng partner. For sexual reproduction, more time is needed. Kailangan pa natin ihalo-bilo yung partner. Kailangan, kumbaga sa Bisaya, pasinati nato ang usag-usa before ta reproduce sexually. And for the advantages, in asexual reproduction, no need to search for a partner, of course. Then for sexual reproduction, variation in genetic makeup of the offspring is the advantage. Hindi siya ma-wipe out in just one diseases kasi nga may variation ang genetic makeup. For the sexual reproduction, yung advantage niya is no need to search for a partner, so less time yung effort. But when it comes to disadvantages, sa asexual reproduction, there is no variation in genetic makeup of the offspring. So, kapag may disease na dumating, so yung lahi nila ay talagang ma-wipe out. For sexual reproduction, yung disadvantage is requires looking for a partner and it requires more energy, of course. So, any question to check your understanding? Please answer the following exercises. So number 1, the biological process by which new individual organisms, offspring are produced from their parent is called. So you choose your answers from the box here. And I'll just flash the remaining questions or activities. You may pause this video for you to focus on the questions. We also change the settings in your YouTube channel for you to see this clearly. So again, just pause this video para po makikita nyo talaga yung question. Very clear. And this ends our discussion about sexual and asexual reproduction. Thank you for tuning in Small Turbo YouTube channel. Till next time, bye-bye! Don't forget to subscribe and hit the bell icon para po marami pa tayo ma-share ng video na ito.